Welcome back to another episode of Beyond the Game. It's episode 21. We got a lot of stuff to cover, man. We had a crazy week of high school football. Week three, man, there were some college shakeups last week in week one, and a lot of drama around the NFL this week. I'm your host, Jordan Barrett, joined by the quarterback, Brandon Bullens. Brandon, how you doing today, man?
Good man, good man. I appreciate you having me on, man. Like just going off what you said, man. It was a huge week this week, in terms of all football. Obviously NFL started this week. We got games going on last night and Thursday. High school football was crazy. College football last week was crazy as well. So just excited to get into it.
Yeah, no, definitely. So we'll start, man, with our game of the week, bro. That was what many thought was going to be. I was not expecting to see that score last night.
Yeah.
Um, to say the least. Man, I'll just run through the game with you first. Man, over in Guilford County, man, out in Greensboro, we had a top 10 matchup in the state, but it didn't play out that way. Number one team in the state, Grimsley. The Whirleys hosted number 10 East Forsyth. Grimsley got the win over East 48-21. The Eagles started the game tough, man. The first drive, there was a bit of miscommunication between the center and the quarterback. Ball goes right past the quarterback. Grimsley's able to pick it up, scoop and score. Jump out to an early seven to zero lead, but East was able to come back down the field and get a touchdown. But after that, it just seemed like Grimsley settled into the game, and it got ugly. It got ugly quick. I think the score at half was 20-7, 21-7. Brandon,
Mhm.
when you saw the score at halftime, man, what were kind of your thoughts?
Yeah, man, it was interesting. I didn't get a chance to check into the game before halftime, but looked down on my phone and I saw, I believe it, yeah, like you said, either 28 or 21-7, and I was just like, oh my goodness, this is not looking good for East. And then I kid you not, as I'm like sitting there looking at it, it gets updated again right at a halftime. Grimsby just marched down the field and scored again. So I mean, East Forsyth already being down big, and then you get that touchdown right at a half on top of it. You could just tell it was going to be a long night for East Forsyth.
It
East Forsyth
was,
after that for sure.
yeah. But I think it's interesting because Grimsley was without their five-star quarterback and the number one quarterback in this class, Faison Brandon. I think he's out with I think they said it was something in his hand, so he hasn't.
Mm-hmm.
He missed last week's game against West, but this is the second week they started the freshman quarterback, and a high school freshman quarterback. This isn't a college freshman quarterback. This kid is 14, 15 years old, and he's putting up 30, 40 points against some of the best teams in the state.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
I mean, it definitely helped that they had a running back. He had three rushing touchdowns last this week, and they have that offensive line that is littered with 4 and 5 star, 3, 4, 5 star kids. Um, but I just kind of want to talk about that first, Brandon. You can speak about it as a quarterback. Being able to really be in control of a game when you have as a quarterback when you're able to run the ball. Like Jackson talked about it last week when we were talking to him. Like, what kind of difference does it really make when you're able to just turn around and hand the ball off?
it makes a huge difference. It makes your job so much easier as a quarterback. The pressure's not necessarily all on you. You don't feel like you have to play Superman ball. Obviously we see guys like Josh Allen who are really heavily involved in the run game. And whether you are a quarterback that runs or whether you're a quarterback that hands the ball off to the running back that gets yards for you, either way, it takes a lot of pressure whenever you can get the run game going. It takes a lot of the pressure off.
Yeah, definitely. And I just because Jackson once again talked about it so much last week. East East was just able to get pressure, and if you can't get pressure, you can't really do anything. I mean, in today's, we just saw what happened with um Micah Parsons. Like, pass rushing and pass rushers are premium, but at the end of the day, football gets comes back to the basics of running the football and stopping the run. You can't do
Yep.
that. You can't. You There's not really. too much you can do, man. But that game, seeing that final score was definitely just a little shocking to me.
Y- Yeah, for sure. It was for me too. I think East Forsyth so far this season has given up less than I think it was like 10 points total for the first 2 weeks of this season.
Yeah,
And then now here they are giving up almost 50. That's basically
yeah.
unheard of for East Forsyth at any point, but
At
especially
any point,
yeah, especially in week 3 of the season, you wouldn't expect them to really get 48 hung on them like that. But, Grimsley's a high-powered offense and, hats off to him.
I believe this was Grimsley's 19th straight win,
Mhm.
and I don't know, at least in this state at this level, if we've really ever seen a team this dominant or that dominant. I think maybe you can go back to Mallard Creek when we were in high school when they were
Mhm.
winning state championships out the wazoo, man. That didn't even make sense. But like I don't know if we've really seen somebody or a team really assert their dominance over an entire area. Like,
Yeah.
because I mean, East is really for the longest has been that team or one of those teams in the area to where they're going to compete in any game that they play. But
Mhm.
Friday night just didn't. They just weren't
Yeah.
able to do it.
And like going back to what you said, man, it just started off with miscommunication from the start. Quarterback center
Yeah,
exchange didn't happen, and next thing you know, they look up 3 minutes into the game and they're already down. They're already down 6 points, 7 points.
already.
And then like I said, they were able to kind of get back on track. They went down the field and scored a touchdowns themselves, but quickly after that, it was all Grimsley for the rest of the way.
But I just wonder how you, as a defense, though, like what out. This is why we do these. We have these player interviews because I want to know what the scheme and game plan was going into that game because Jackson talked about it last week how East was getting pressure. They were looking to send pressure, send blitz, get pressure on the quarterback. And I would think, especially with a young quarterback like that, you want to disguise looks. Like Jackson was talking about, they were running different coverages on different sides of the field. Like they were running a cover 2 on one side and then cover 3 on the back side. And it's just like,
Mhm.
but I guess if you can't stop the run, it don't matter, huh?
Yeah,
I guess
yeah.
if you just can't stop the run, it doesn't matter.
And it goes back to the whole philosophy of a defensive scheme or a defense coordinator. You stay in that too high safety shell, you're more than
Yeah,
likely you're more susceptible to the run because you're
yeah,
trying to stop the pass. You try to bring a guy down into the box to stop the run. Now you're opening up the deep pass game. So I mean, especially with going against a team like Grimsley, they just got athletes over the field. It's really pick your
yeah,
poison. Which way do you want to get beat? At
yeah,
the end of the day.
yeah, yeah. Now yeah, man. Now I mean, let's take a look at some of the scores from across the state, man. It just wasn't pretty for anybody this week. Honestly, man. One of the best teams we were just talking about on Mallard Creek. One of the teams with the best history, one of the better histories in the state, went down to Georgia, and Mallard Creek, I believe, is ranked number 3 in the state of North Carolina. But they went and took on a powerhouse, a national powerhouse in Grayson. Grayson was ranked number 5 nationally coming into this game, and yeah, they were really able to handle great nah, they were really able to handle Mallard Creek. They beat them 63-13. Weddington, they rolled past Monroe 49-7. West Charlotte loses to South Carolina South Point 10-7, which I guess North Carolina just did not do too well outside of the state this week. Um Providence, they beats Catholic. New Bern and West Craven, which is a rivalry game out east in Craven County. That game started off with a fight. Tempers got started flaring really early, but New Bern would go on to win 48-27. West Forsyth handles Porter Ridge bouncing back to that after that game um, to Grimsley last week, winning 45-14. Huff represented well. They were able to hang on. In Virginia, as they got the win against Highland Springs 17-14, and national and 15th ranked Cleveland. Um, they're 15th ranked in the state. They were able to beat Northern Nash 52-28. Brandon, are there any games that kind of just pop off the screen to you when you look at this? Because yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, there's a few for sure, but I think first and foremost, I want to say like it's very cool and interesting to see that teams are actually stepping outside of the state to go play
I agree.
nowadays. I know that it was like kind of sort of becoming a thing whenever we were in
Hmm.
high school, but it was really like a Charlotte school going down to Rock Hill. Like they were
Yeah,
30 minutes apart from each other, if
yeah,
that. It just happened to be in a different state. But now you got Huff, who is on the outside of Charlotte, driving up to Virginia. So
Virginia.
they're driving through the state of North Carolina to get to an opponent, which is cool. But either way, yeah, man, like you said, Grayson knocking off Mallet Creek by 50. They prove
It,
why they're the number. They prove why they're the number 5 team in the country. There, that's impressive, no
that's
doubt. To
definitely
hang
impressive.
almost 70 on a team like them, that's impressive for sure. And then, like you said, a couple other ones. The Providence Day and Charlotte Catholic game. Looks like they handle business there. You said that game started in a fight, New Bern and
New Bern and West
West.
Craven. Yeah,
Yeah, and Craven, man, that's crazy. You almost got the Eagles and the Cowboys going there. They're starting stuff off hot. But no, and one last thing I want to talk about is the West Forsyth game, man. West Forsyth has been really, really playing well this year.
yeah.
Even with the loss last week against Grimsley, and even on that fluke, I'll call it what it is, that fluke touchdown right there at the end of the game that Grimsley had. That's a one-score game.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think if that touchdown does get called incomplete, which it should have, then West Forsyth has a chance to drive down the field and score. Last week, and next thing you know, we're in an overtime game. So,
I think
I think West Forsyth
that's
will be fine
big.
moving forward.
Yeah, I think I I was looking when I was thinking that too. When I saw the score from the East Grimsley game this week, I immediately went to East is going to be in some trouble when they play West Forsyth.
Oh, big
That is
time.
always a good game. It's a rivalry game. But if you watching the game, the final score of that the Grimsley West Forsyth game was not at all representative of what that it didn't represent what the game actually was. And West Forsyth really held their own against a really good what we've seen as a really good team. I mean, some of that definitely had to do with that was the quarterback's his first game starting.
Hmm.
And that's a pretty big game to be starting as your first game. But they just went out there and they 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 just they handled their own, man. They were able to stop the run against Grimsley, which East wasn't able to do, which forced Grimsley to throw the ball which we saw, like you kind of pointed to that it was a bit of a deep ball, and I'm gonna just mark it up to the referee was out of position, but you can't be out of position for something like that because while that wasn't a conference game, those are calls that causes team season. Like you just can't, especially like you were saying, that's incomplete. West gets the ball back. Now it's a one score game. They have an opportunity to go down and score the game, tie the game versus what was happening versus what they actually had, which was a two-score game. You call the game, play the game completely different. And yeah, so I mean, if you got anything else for these high school games?
No, just like you said, going back off of what you were just saying, man. Like those calls really do cause teams seasons. Whether referees or fans want to admit it or not, those kind of calls will absolutely ruin the reputation. They'll ruin team morale, all that kind
Yeah,
of stuff. Next thing you know, you're in the tank for the rest of the season, and it's really hard to climb back out of it. You can still be competitive in a lot of games, but
true.
to go out and have that drive to go and win week in and week out, it's definitely harder to do.
Yeah, no, that definitely. But I think that team morale is a big thing because I think on one hand, if you look at West, even though they did not win that game, I think they're a lot more okay or happier with the position that they were in versus East Forsyth this past week. Um,
Agreed.
and so I just, especially as we get in the conference with East and West being in the same conference, I think we're going to it's going to be good. This is going to be good as we get into the season. But man, let's go look at let's I guess we can go talk about some college football now. I mean, this ain't necessarily what I'm interested in, especially after that absolute shit show that Alabama put on tape. Um,
I know you're hurting, man. I know you're hurting after that one.
I'm a before we get into these scores, let's just touch on last week. Let's just touch on last week. Let's start with I'll start with this Alabama game because this will take me into the bigger conversation of college football week 1. Um Kalen DeBoer, this is the damn SEC, okay? This is the SEC. I don't know where you came from, what you were thinking this was, what you thought this was, but we aren't here for that. Um, um, I'll let you, Brandon. Brandon, go. What were your thoughts after watching for lack of better terms, Ty Simpson shit the bed.
Yeah.
Kalen DeBoer put a team out there that looked like they simply weren't prepared. And a team that got dominated on both sides of the line of scrimmage. Just what are you thinking after last week?
Yeah, I don't know what the message was for Bama going into that game. I can imagine it was something along the lines of like, "Hey, we can handle this team. We just have to go out and play a solid game. Nothing that's going to be like over the top. It's not like it's going to be a true bloodbath dogfight." But they needed that. But they needed that message to be able to not get. Well, I think the final score was 31-17, to not get their score doubled. And unfortunately for Bama, they got humbled really quickly. I don't know if they weren't prepared because of the rain delay or just the hot temperature. I don't know what it could have been, but it, like you said, it did not look like they were prepared offensively or defensively. Florida State came out flying high. I mean, they started showing them a lot of stuff in the run game early, jet sweeps, counters. Obviously, Bama should have been prepared for those kind of things, but it looks like they just weren't. They were just giving up big chunk plays in the run game, and then whenever Florida State took a shot, they were able to complete it.
It seemed like on defense, where's the effort? Where is it? Because I think we often see, learn, and know and understand like a lot of times defense just comes down to effort, and you can make up for a lot of mistakes if you like Willard said. If you're gonna make a mistake, at least do it going 100 miles an hour.
Yeah.
Don't be jogging your ass across the field when you're already losing. Like as an Alabama fan, that was very disappointing to see. Um, Especially after going down on the first drive and just scoring a touchdown. I would thought um, the offense was going to be a lot better this year, as I believe in Kalen DeBoer from an offensive standpoint. But once again, this is the SEC. We play. This is real football. You win. You win in the trenches. You win. You win running the football. And I didn't appreciate the things that I saw last week. Um, and I don't like that they have UL Monroe this week. I want Georgia this week. I want a real football game this week. Give me Florida. Give me Florida State again. I want a real football game this week because I want to see how they respond. I don't want to see them go out
Yeah.
there and hang 50 or 60 on UL Monroe. Like,
Yep.
no, no, no. Because I don't want Todd Simpson to step back out on that football field. I don't. I know that for a fact. Um, there wasn't. It's not like this was like Colorado, where Colorado had a lack of creativity and a lack of like trying to push the ball down the field. Todd Simpson just was not making good decisions with the ball, and I think that takes me to my next point of this is an overall problem in college football. Last this past week, I think we got below average quarterback play across the country.
Hmm.
And I want to hear your before I really get into it, I want to hear your thoughts on it. Um just how do you feel about what you saw from I don't necessarily want to harp as much on Arch Manning because this is his first that was his for me, that was his first big game. And
Hmm.
bro, he went up against Matt Patricia. Matt Patricia, that's a Super Bowl winning defensive coordinator. So I'm gonna take
Literally
a
Super
step
Bowl
back,
winner.
Brandon. I want to hear your opinions on what we saw from a lot of the quarterbacks from week one.
Yeah, so to preface my answer, I'm going to say that there were a bunch of big time teams or, those top ranked teams, 25 teams that started new quarterbacks this year, that, is either their old guys have transferred or, they graduated and gone to the league or they're just done playing now, whatever the case may be. There's a lot of new faces around
Yeah,
these programs nowadays, and I think that's partially going back to, not to bring up, 2020 again, but I think it is partially due to COVID. A lot of
no,
those guys
definitely.
were able to get an extra year, an extra 2 years of eligibility. So those guys that are 26-year-old quarterbacks nowadays, like Stetson Bennett, just a couple years ago was, I believe, 25, still playing college football. So we're not seeing those kind of guys anymore. And obviously, as a 25-year quarterback that's seen college football for 6, 7 years in a row,
Yeah,
um, we're not seeing those guys anymore. We're getting to the age where it was, I guess, before COVID, where your starter might be a true 19-year-old redshirt freshman or a 20-year-old redshirt sophomore. So those kinds of games are going to be, or the quarterback play in a lot of these games early on are not going to be nearly as good as what we're used to seeing over the last 5 years. But I think just giving these guys time to develop, giving these guys time to learn what they're seeing and trust what they're seeing on the field, we're going to see some pretty high level football play here soon.
before you keep going though, I think what you just said, trusting your eyes, trusting what you're seeing, and being able to deliver. We saw. I think that was a lot last week, and I think we saw a lot of it last week, and that worries me as that just worries me because I mean I would just think a lot of these because it wasn't just from the Julian Sands. It wasn't just we K Klubnik, bro. K Klubnik for Clemson. He just did not. Garrett Nussmeier 1,000% looked like the number one or the best quarterback in this class after week one.
Mm.
Um, K Klubnik, I don't know what that was against LSU, but you can't do that again. Um, if you want to compete for a national champion. But continue.
Yeah, yeah, I completely agree. And going back to that Clemson game specifically, we see. I'll even go back to last year in the ACC championship against SMU. Cade Klubnik did not play well in that game, especially in the first half.
Yeah,
But Clemson somehow always finds a way to like stay in the game. And then at the very end of the game of that ACC championship, they're, I believe SMU tied it 31-31 with like
yeah,
20 seconds left, and they were able to just get two big plays and then kick a field goal to win the game. So it's like Clemson finds ways to be in the game and to find a way to win. I don't think that's all necessarily because of quarterback play, though. Cade Klubnik does enough to not lose his job, does enough to still be considered a good quarterback. But I also think it's because he has a phenomenal head coach. They have some of the best offensive firepower weapons in the country, and they also have the dominant O line in the trenches. So it's like, well, how good is he
I see.
outside of those elements? That's where a lot of a lot of question marks start to pop up around his play. And that goes for anybody. If you were to take,
Yeah.
Nussmeier out of LSU, how good is he going to be? I still think he's better than Klubnik at the end of the day, but um, it's one of those things for sure. It's hard to tell how good these guys actually are.
I remember being called crazy when I said that this quarterback class wasn't going to be good.
Mm.
I was told that I was crazy when I said everyone was talking about this during the draft this year. They're like, okay, we're just looking forward to next year's quarterback class, next year's class. Okay, but who is in next year's class? That and what got me was they started crowning Arch Manning. Arch Manning, they number one pick, number one pick, and I just didn't. We're seeing it play out in real time. That's all I can say. We're seeing it
For
play out
sure.
in real time, and I don't. I mean, I wish him nothing but the best, but I just don't know how. We've seen whether it was Joe Burrow. Just go down the list of quarterbacks that are doing well now in the NFL. Jaden Daniels. I don't like that. I just named two LSU quarterbacks, but these are quarterbacks with a lot of reps. They played a lot of college football. A lot of college football. Joe Burrow spent 2 years at Ohio State or 3 years at Ohio State before going to LSU. And then he even sat the bench a year at LSU before he became their quarterback.
Yep.
Hell, Garrett Nussmeier now, this is what his second or third year playing. Like
Mm.
he's seen a lot of snaps. And I think that's what we're getting into. We're starting to see it's about how much football you played. Yes, it matters how well you played and where you played, but it's being able to see how like getting real time game reps of disguise coverages of them showing blitz from one side and bringing it from the other, or really seeing stunts from the defensive line. It's just those real time, real game action things. So yeah, I was just very disappointed with what I think I saw from a lot of the quarterbacks around the country. But man, let's just take a look at some of the key games from college football this week. I think this Iowa State game will be pretty good. But we got Iowa State at noon. Michigan takes on Oklahoma at 7:30. Duke and Illinois. I'll definitely be keeping an eye on that on ESPN. SMU and Baylor. Um, Mississippi State and Arizona State. I pray that Mississippi State is decent this year, but they haven't put out a good football team since damn Dak Prescott. And then and then Kentucky Ole Miss. Brandon, what are kind of the games on this schedule that sticks out to you?
Yeah, the three that kind of pop out to me are the Iowa State game. Obviously, in-state rivalry there. That's going to be an interesting one for sure. Duke, Illinois. Once again, a lot of people are giving a lot of hype around Duke right now, even though they're not
Yeah,
ranked or haven't really proven a lot yet. But there's a lot of hype kind of going around them, so it'll be interesting to see how well they compete against a number 11 Illinois here. And then lastly, this SMU Baylor game, another in-state rivalry game. SMU rightfully deserves to be ranked. They've proven themselves in the ACC now, even though
yeah,
they are a newer member in the conference. But they've earned their spot, and Baylor's known for having a lot of high flying offenses and a lot of fast players. So we'll see how well SMU competes against what should be one of the faster teams that they face all year.
yeah, yeah. No, definitely. I think that Iowa State game is going to be a good one because Iowa, the trenches with Iowa are going to be good. They they're going to be able to run the football and they're going to be able to play defense. But what a lot of people might not know is that they finally got them a quarterback. They finally got a quarterback that can throw a 10-yard out route, that can throw a post, that can throw them a dig, that can throw a slant, that can throw into windows, that can read a defense, and that will be the difference in this game. This isn't this isn't this isn't your typical Iowa team that's going to line up in damn hell 22 personnel with a fullback. Like this just isn't them. They're not. I mean, they're going. You're still going to see flashes of that. They're still going to do that, but they're going to still be able to line up and throw the ball. You'll see them spread it out a little bit. You might not necessarily see 2 by 2, 3 by 1, 5 wide. Nah, you'll probably see a little bit more, some 11, 12 personnel.
Hmm.
So I think that I'll be keeping an eye out on that one because I think this game is going to be won in the trenches, and if that's the case, I'm gonna take Iowa. But
Yep.
we'll see. Um, Michigan, Oklahoma. Um, Michigan's offense looks a lot way better than they did last year. Boy, they couldn't throw the ball 10 yards last year.
Yeah, they're much
Um,
improved offensively.
yes. Um, Once again, that freshman Bryce Underwood. I mean,
Hmm.
granted they did not have a big game, but to see a freshman go out there and play well, I think that was big. Brendan, who do you think will win this game?
Personally, from what I've seen from Bryce Underwood so far, for the hype that and let me preface, he is a great quarterback. He's going to do very well down the line at Michigan and even potentially if he stays on the right path in the league, right? Like he will be fine. I don't see what people are giving the hype on currently at the moment.
Yeah,
I guess they must have forgot what happened in the spring game when he
yeah,
had like less than 50% completion through 2 picks and had to score on a trick play to even get the ball past the 50. But,
yeah,
I guess people forget that very quickly. So I'm going to take Oklahoma simply on the fact that I think they're a
yeah,
much more proven team right now. They've been ranked for or have been competitive for a while now. I think Michigan with a down year last year, now they're up this year, and it's only week 2 or week 3 of the season for them. Who knows how good they actually are still? I think Oklahoma's just a much more proven 18 spot. And Michigan is a much more proven 15.
yeah. No, I agree. I agree a lot with that because I mean, you go back to talking. You were talking about Clemson and kind of where Clemson's kind of been on a fall off for the past. They've just been hanging on like they're not off the cliff. They just hanging on that cliff. Um, and a big reason of that though is because they lost Brent Venables. He went and took the head coaching job over at Oklahoma. When they
Mm-hmm.
when they were playing for national championships or when they were expected, it was because Brent Venables had that defense playing very well. And even at Oklahoma last year, even when they weren't playing the best, their defense was still formidable. They've got a good defense again this year, and I football often comes down to quarterbacks. Whose quarterback is better? And I am very high on John Mateer. I think John Mateer has the ability to win the Heisman this year, the quarterback for Oklahoma, after
Mm-hmm.
doing unbelievable things at Washington State last year. Um, so yeah, I'm with you. I'm gonna take Oklahoma in this one, and then touching on that Duke Illinois game, I want Illinois to be good for the sake of the Big Ten. I want more competition in the Big Ten. Luke Altmaier has been a good quarterback. I think this is going on his third year starting. Um, he's been a good quarterback, and I think Luke Altmaier will play well. And I think he is the better quarterback. But I just think how much is Brett Bielema, however you pronounce his last name, how much is he going to really open up this offense and allow Luke Altmaier to be Luke Altmaier? I mean, too often we see just typical Big Ten football from Illinois, and they have a quarterback that is better than that typical Big Ten football. But I think I'm going to give the nod to Illinois here.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to agree with you there. I think Illinois' offensive firepower is going to be too much for Duke to handle today. Even with all the hype that's kind of around Duke, most of
Yeah,
from my understanding, their hype is because of their offensive power, not necessarily how great their defense is.
yeah,
And so, unless Duke offensive firepower can just go out and hang with Illinois, this should be a pretty much, I think, a 2 or 3 score game for Illinois.
yeah. This will definitely be one of the better defenses that Duke sees this season. Especially from a like run stopping standpoint. Um, but you're talking about that SMU Baylor game. I definitely think I like that SMU is ranked. Like you said, they 100% deserve to be there. Baylor is supposed to be better this year. Didn't see it in week one against Auburn. Don't think they're going to be any better. I'll take SMU.
Yeah, I agree with you there. SMU's once again just they deserve to be there. They've proven themselves year in and year out for the last 3 years now, I believe. So, yeah,
Yeah,
I'm going to take SMU here as well.
yeah. Um, I want Mississippi State to be good, but like I said, they haven't been good since damn Dak Prescott. I'll take Arizona State in that one, and then Ole Miss, Kentucky. Ah, it doesn't look like Alabama's gonna be any good this year. So damn, I hope Ole Miss is. Damn, let's. But somebody needs to damn. Hey, we need some dominance back in the SEC, and I'll take Kentucky, man. I'll take Kentucky. I mean,
Yeah,
my
man.
bad.
Somebody
No,
somebody's
I'll
got to
take
figure out
Ole
the
Miss.
SEC. Somebody's got to figure
I'll
it out.
take Ole Miss. Yeah, yeah. We'll see what
Yeah, I'm
Kentucky
agree.
does,
I'm going to take Ole Miss there as well.
man. But all right, all right. We had an interesting week of week one college football, and boy, the NFL didn't disappoint. The NFL did not disappoint. We'll get to the Eagles. We'll get to the Eagles Cowboys game. But last night we had the Chiefs Chargers. Brandon, I'll let you take this one away, but I've always been a Harbaugh fan. I've always been a Harbaugh fan, and damn, I'm loving Jim. He's giving us the Justin Herbert we've been expecting. But go ahead, man.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I'll start with the Chiefs. Obviously, is the last 5, 6 years now they've been Super Bowl favorites year in and year out, right? They started off extremely slow on offense, which kind of led to the reason that they lost the game last night. Now, granted, they're similar to Clemson in terms of even when games where they look down and out, they're never necessarily down and out. So they were able to climb their way back in. I believe they put up two scores late there in the second half, which really caused it to be a one-score game. But yeah, hats off to Herbert, man. He played his ASS off last night. He finally looked like not Mister What If. He said, "I'm
No.
here and I'm here to stay."
Yes. 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 And I think that's the biggest thing though. And I do it has to be credited to Jim Harbaugh. Like there are no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Like because when you look at his career up to this point. This is a guy that can throw the ball 80 yards flat-footed, but damn, he's been damn checking down. Austin Eckler was his best receiver one year. Damn it, that's his running back. His running back was his best receiver one year. Like,
Yeah.
and I'm honestly happy and I'm glad I've been like gotten a chance to see this because Jim said when he left Michigan, like he wanted the opportunity to coach a quarterback with the talent of Justin Herbert. He's getting the opportunity and we're seeing what he's doing with it. This team looks like they've done a complete 180 since he's gotten in that building. And I appreciate it. That's all I'm appreciative of it. Like I appreciate it.
Yeah, no doubt. And the good thing about Harbaugh is that he's actually done a really phenomenal job of keeping his dad involved. Obviously his dad is a legendary NFL coach as well. So, for those guys, especially younger guys that not might still be learning, all the history of, all these legendary players and coaches in the NFL for both Harbaugh, who's well into his 60s or 70s now, to still
Yeah.
keep his dad, who's like in his 80s around. They're learning from a lot of great football
Oh,
minds in that building,
yeah.
and whether they are winning at the end of the day or not, I know their team morale behind those two great coaches is still going to be as high as ever.
Yeah. Yeah. Most definitely. Definitely. I was again excited to see what I saw from Justin Herbert, man. But Thursday, the Cowboys lost to the Eagles. First half was very high powered. Offenses kind of slowed down after that, a bit of that delay that they had. But storyline to start the game, Jalen Carter was kicked out of the game for spitting on Dak Prescott, um, which is absolutely crazy. Watching the broadcast though, they just kept replaying it. But then another video comes out. Dak spit on Jalen Carter first. Um, but Brandon, before we get into that game, what are your thoughts on that? Like,
Oh, man, it's interesting to see that kind of that kind of act on the field. I don't think I've
yeah,
ever seen another player. I don't think I've ever seen a player spit on another person
that's the
like.
most disrespectful thing you can do to somebody.
Oh, for
That-
sure, for sure. I mean, yeah, I mean, you're asking for a full-out brawl at that point. You know what I mean? If you're outright just spitting on somebody.
Spin on
Now,
somebody.
now going back to that clip that like kind of came out after the game that says Dak spit first on Jalen Carter. I don't know if it was necessarily, and Dak. I don't know if you saw the post game interview where Dak talked about it, but he said, I spit probably 1,000 times a game. I didn't spit on him. Was just happened to be looking at him in the huddle, and I spit down, and the next thing you know, I'm getting spit at. Yeah, I don't know if he was necessarily baiting him, baiting Jalen Carter
Well, it
into
could be a bit
trying
of it.
to try to get him into something, but he definitely knew what he was doing either way. He was talking shit, or he was trying to get in their head for a reason. He wasn't going to back down from a fight. But
Yeah.
outside of all that, let's talk about it. That is a rivalry reignited right there, man. First game of the season.
I think I
Obviously.
my bad. I don't mean to cut you off, but I think
Go.
too many people don't, because the NFC East hasn't necessarily been that good going back 10 years or so. Like the NFC East has just now gotten back to a respectable point. At one point, this was the worst division in the NFL. But
Mhm.
people do forget that this is a hated, no team in this division likes anybody, whether it's Washington, the Eagles, Philadelphia, Dallas, or New York. Nobody likes each other.
Correct.
This is no, it's not AFC North. No, it's not NFC North. But damn, don't nobody in this division like anybody. But continue.
Yeah, no, that's a great way to put it. Nobody likes each other. There's no love lost for any of these teams in
None.
this conference.
None.
None of them. None of them in this division, really have any love lost. So for me, like from a competitive standpoint, is it an ugly act? Sportsmanship, all this kind of stuff that the NFL trying to push out. Sure,
I love
I'm
that.
for it at the end of the day. But truly, when you come down to the rivalry aspect, that's downright disrespectful, and that
I
set.
love it.
I'm not gonna lie, that set a tone
For the
for the
game.
entire Eagles and Cowboys organization. Said, "Oh, this
Yeah,
is what we're
yes.
doing. This is how we're
Yes.
coming for the rest of the game." And it showed for the first half. There wasn't a single punt in the first half. Every drive ended in
Was it
points being scored,
in points?
which really, once again, just continued that tone being set.
I think that sets a tone for the season though. Like
Yeah.
that, because we know that we got to play you again.
Hmm.
We know we got a game against you again, but we also know that we're competing side by side for the rest of the season. Like, because the winner of this division gets the automatic playoff spot, and it's going to take 12, 13 wins to win this division. When you look at Philadelphia, you look at Washington, and damn, all right, I I am afraid to say it. I'm afraid to say it, but Jerry Jones may have done the right thing. I'll take a step back, because when you saw Jalen Hurts running around last week or Thursday, you definitely thought, okay, if we have Michael, we pass rush, because the Eagles were too comfortable on offense.
Hmm.
They were doing what they wanted to, but I mean, so were the Cowboys. But I don't think they got George Pickens involved enough.
Yeah.
That's it's gonna come with more reps. Um, but the Cowboys put a good product out there on the field, and I'm interested into seeing how the rest of this kind of plays out. But man, we've got a full slate of games this week. Let's look at these games, man. We've got the Jets and the Steelers. I've got that game. Um, as I've got that as a game to watch, because essentially they switched quarterbacks this offseason. They essentially traded quarterbacks for without an actual trade.
Yeah.
Um, Interested to see how this um, Steelers offense looks. Really, the Steelers team as a whole, because I think if you if you put a healthy Steelers team out there week in and week out, I don't think there's a team that they can't compete with. Healthy though, because that the roster also looks like a retirement home. so,
Uh,
so I mean, hey, but what are your thoughts on that, Brandon?
Yeah, no, I mean, you made a really good point. They did essentially trade quarterbacks. I think Justin Fields, unfortunately, as we've seen time and time again with any type of quarterback that goes to the Jets, as a veteran quarterback, it pretty much that's pretty much where the career goes to die. I think, luckily for
Unfortunately,
Rodgers, he's able to get out, but then again, he went to the Steelers, who have not had success since Big Ben.
at that
And that
position,
was, and we're pushing what 5, 6 years ago on that now. So,
at least.
it, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how well Rodgers is and the Steelers' offense is. Obviously, they got some weapons. Obviously, with DK in there now, so we'll see how it goes. But man, I'll take the Steelers here. I think offensively they'll do more than the Jets will.
Yeah, I'm hoping, man. I'm really hoping that they just show up to play. Like I hope that the Jets, from the Jet standpoint, like I hope the Jets put a good product out there on the field because Aaron Glenn, this is his first head coaching job, and just unfortunately, the matter of the fact is there aren't too many black head coaches that get a second chance after if they do bad in their first chance. So
Mhm.
I'm hoping that I mean they might not start this off with a win, but we're hoping that that defense from the Jets is the defense that we were expecting to see last year. We hope they get back to what they were 2 years ago. But yeah, I'm kind of with you. I'm gonna take the Steelers on that one. But then we got Panthers and Jags. This is an intriguing game because you look at Travis Hunter, then you look at Tedero McMillan, you look at Jimmy Horn Jr., Bryce Young, Trevor Lawrence. Trevor Lawrence has the biggest question mark. I understand we don't know what we're going to get from Travis Hunter playing both sides in the NFL. I think he's going to be able to do it, but that's neither here nor there. Trevor Lawrence, you were supposed to be the damn golden child coming out of college. You were supposed to be. He showed flashes of it 3 years ago, 2, 3 years ago. Last year was not good. What are you? I'm in this game. I'm gonna take the Panthers. I'm gonna take the Panthers in this game, man. What are your thoughts on this one?
So it's tough because you can also throw Trevor Lawrence into the Mr. What If
Yeah.
category. You
Oh,
know what I
one
mean? He's in the similar boat as Herbert there. I think, you
talented as
know,
I don't know what.
yeah, I mean, has all the intangibles as a quarterback. Is smart, can play well. Obviously, we've seen it. What if he's on a better team? What if they kick the field goal here and
That's
all that
fair.
kind of stuff?
That's fair.
Yeah, but I don't know, man. Are they playing in Carolina or are they down in Florida for this one?
Ooh, that's a good question. I want to say they're in Jacksonville. Let's see. NFL. The No, they're in Jacksonville. Yeah, they're in Jacksonville.
In Jacksonville, I'll take the Jags here. I think they come out week one. I think they'll have a lot of the. I think they have with the home field advantage. I think that's going to help them out. And if they get up early by a good two-score lead, I think they'll hold on for the rest of the way.
Yeah, I just like the way that the Panthers ended the season last year, and I think the arrow is just pointing up with Dave Canales. Um, Bryce Young has his mojo back, man.
Mhm.
But then we'll go look at your division. I can appreciate when the NFL gives us good Week 1 games from a divisional standpoint, um, because we have a lot of NFC teams playing divisional games. But up there in the East, up there in the North, Packers, Lions. I think this game sets the tone. This season, this game sets the tone for both teams because both teams have high expectations, especially after getting Micah Parsons. That division is up for grabs this year, and every game is going to matter. All four teams, whether it's the Vikings or the Bears, have an opportunity to win that division.
Yep.
So kind of, even if it is your sorry Bears, Brandon, what are you at least with this game? What are you kind of thinking?
Yeah, we'll get to my glorious king Caleb Williams here soon, but no, but sticking with the Lions and the Packers here. The Lions obviously losing both coordinators over this past offseason. Like you said, with Glenn going to the Jets as a head coach, Ben Johnson obviously now the head coach of the Bears. Um, it should be interesting to see how Dan Campbell and the rest of the Lions organization kind of rallies behind their new coordinators. Obviously, last season and the previous seasons, they've kind of built the puzzle pieces
Hmm.
into those kind of eh, guys that just kind of fit that perfect mold for the Lions. I don't know
Yeah,
if those new coordinators are going to fit those molds perfectly quite yet. So from that aspect, I think with the Packers still having a lot of the same pieces, improving defensively, obviously with the Parsons pickup, we'll see if he ends up playing today or not. But even without him, I think they'll do fine. I'm going to take the Packers on this one.
yeah. I'll probably go with the Lions, but I do have a question for you. Do you think I'm gonna go with the Lions because I'm not as high on Caleb Love or Jordan Love as everyone else. Uh Jordan Love is a true gunslinger, which hell, past three quarterbacks in Green Bay have been,
Yep.
but I don't think he's the past two. Um, between Brett and Aaron, you see a lot of similarities between, especially the way he throws the ball, his mechanics. You, he definitely sat up under Aaron Rodgers.
Oh, big time, big time.
Um, but I just don't. I think he just turns the ball over entirely too much, and I think he can make winning plays, but the same thing that gets him to make those winning plays are the things that cause him to turn that shit over left and fucking right. And damn it, he's going. Jameis Winston is the best comparison I can give you. Jameis, famous Jameis is the best comparison I can give you.
You talking about Mr. 30 and 30?
30 and 30. And it would not surprise. I don't think he would go. Jordan Love would go to that extreme of 30 and 30, but I can see Jordan Love going 30 and 15,
Mm-hmm.
like 30 and 18 or 20. Like
Yeah.
that's not crazy to think of. But yeah. And then, hey, my Commanders kick off the season. We got them sorry old Giants coming into town. Um, I am interested in this game for a lot of reasons. We can just starting on the offensive side. I'm interested to see what that early connection with Terry looks like, especially since he was dealing with injury, contract talks. Didn't get too much time to prepare. Had about 2.5, 3 weeks. Um, those early reps can just be though that's what you need, especially from that quarterback receiver connection. But they've done this before, not the first time. Um, Jane Daniels, hope we don't have that sophomore slump. I don't also think having Cliff Kingsbury, he's a great offensive mind. Like he's not going to put Jaden Daniels in. He just puts him in good positions. Um,
Mm.
but Marshawn Lattimore, I'm looking at you. Marshawn Lattimore, I'm looking at you because last year, whether it was against the Eagles, I understand you regarding AJ Brown, but boy, did he. Marshawn Lattimore, you're supposed to be one of the best in the league.
Yep.
Arguably a Hall of Famer, depending on who you want to argue with. I need to see more than what I saw last year, and I think that's what's going to make the difference in this team because I think front seven has continued to play well. They played well for the past few years. Um, our secondary has just been the weak spot, so we'll see. Um, we'll see. I'm gonna take my Commanders because I don't think hell please put Russell Wilson out there. Please put Russ out there and let him cook. Let him cook too.
Let's cook.
Let him throw the ball 50 times tomorrow or Sunday. Yeah. What are your thoughts on that, though, Brandon?
Yeah, I agree. I think the Commanders are going to be fine in this one. Going back to the defensive standpoint, if your secondary is solid, we saw it with the Legion of Boom. Obviously that's one of the more legendary secondaries to ever grace the NFL. Um, but those guys can hold it down in the back end, which allows those guys in the front seven to just really kind of take over the game, or to really at least hinder how well the offense can run the ball, or get any kind of any type of quick game
Yeah.
passes and all that kind of stuff. Those backers are going to be there, all that kind of stuff. But either way, um, yeah, Lattimore should be better this year. But overall, I think, like you're saying, Kingsbury's going to put the Commanders' offense, especially Jaden Daniels, in a good spot to make the right throw and all that kind of stuff. So I'll take the Commanders here.
Yeah. And but I think will probably be the best game of the weekend. I guess it's alright since they gave them the Sunday night game, but they should have switched y'all game, man. This game. Um, the Ravens. Ravens and Bills.
Yeah,
Wow. To kick off a season?
big game.
Wow. To kick off the season, wow, that's kind of all I can say. I think this one it will be in New York. Um, Super Bowl's expectation in Baltimore, and it starts with this. It starts with this game. There's no AFC Championship. There is no showing up to the Super Bowl. It is Super Bowl or bust. It is win a Super Bowl or nothing for the Baltimore Ravens this year. Um, so I mean, hey, Brandon, you can take it away. You got the best quarterback in the league. You have arguably the best running back in the league. With I'm not gonna argue with nobody. You got the best defense in the league. You have the best safety in Kyle Hamilton. You have a top five corner in Marlon Humphreys. Your secondary. Your hell. Don't even. I'm not even gonna get started with them linebackers. When you start talking about Patrick Queen, and then you start getting into that defensive line, and it's just like Super Bowl or bust. And I'm on the Ravens hard this year. They don't win a Super Bowl. Does John get fired? Nah, but they have lofty expectations.
Yeah, they definitely have big time expectations put on this year. It's now or never for the Ravens.
Agreed.
I don't think there's going to be a better season for them to really go out and do it than the pieces and the experience that they have overall than right now. Obviously, we'll see throughout the year how that unfolds, but I think they're going to be fine throughout the regular season. I think they'll win their anywhere from 10 to 14 to 15 games, and make a pretty deep run in the playoffs. But to go back into this specific game here for Week 1, this very easily could end up being the AFC Championship matchup. So it could be a foreshadowing here in Week 1 to what we see at the near the end of the season here. It's going to be interesting, like you said. You have from the Eagle, or excuse me, the Ravens standpoint, you have. I would even argue one of the better offenses, well, the best offense from a run game standpoint, and one of the
Oh
better
yeah,
overall offenses in the league. And then obviously without Josh Allen, the Bills, I don't know if they are who they are. Well, clearly they're not without him on the field. But um, yeah, man, it's going to be high power all the way through. With it being in Buffalo, I can't go against Buffalo here. I just can't do it, especially with Allen still playing at really, really high level of football. I'm going to
yeah,
take the Bills on this one.
yeah. All I'm gonna say is the Ravens better not come out and lose Week 1. Oh, if they lose Week 1. Oh, if they lose Week 1. Um, but your Bears taking on the Vikings. I'll let you take this one. I take
It's
this
time.
one.
It's time. It is time for the Bears to stop the freaking nonsense that we suck and all this kind of talk, right? It's time for us to come out on top, dude, I'm not gonna lie, I'm nervous as shit. I don't know what the hell we got
You
going
should
on.
be. I think you should be. But I think it should be nerves of excitement
Yeah.
because, but, but, y'all are starting this season again in a position that y'all have too many times, and it's having unknowns. The only thing that y'all know is who your fucking quarterback is, and too often we have had going into this, we don't know who our quarterback is, or like, hey, we're starting new every year. We're starting new every year, and this year it's the coach. Last year was the quarterback. This year it's the coach. Like I just,
I'm gonna say that we are on the right path. Obviously, with Ryan Poles being a solidified GM for us for a while now, Ben Johnson's an offensive-minded coach, which, from a traditional or like a historical standpoint, from the Bears, we've always had much more success being a defensive-minded team. But I think we're kind of catching up with the new age and the new era of football, which is offenses win a lot of football games.
yeah,
So with Ben Johnson being the coach, with Caleb Williams going into his second year, I think he's going to be much better this time. This go around, I think the Bears have hell. I mean, they finished. They started the season 4-2 last year. It wouldn't surprise me if they do a similar thing this year, but I would expect at least around a 500 record this season. I think is going to be a much improved step in the right direction. And to be honest, like you said, going back to the NFC North itself, I could very easily see all these teams going 1-1 against each other. It's not going to be just an outright, "Hey, we're better than you. We're going to just curb stomp you." No, like it's going to be hard fought for every single NFC North matchup this year. But for this game specifically, I think I am going to take the Bears, even biasly or unbiasedly. I think with the question mark of JJ
oh yeah,
McCarthy as quarterback, I think and whatnot from the Vikings defense. If Justin Jefferson can be contained, I think we should be fine.
yeah. No, I agree with that. Because I mean, just looking at it outside of the Justin Jefferson matchup, like I would say the Bears have a better roster. I think the Bears should win this game. The Bears should win this game. Um,
Should they
because I
should?
was very, I was pleased with what I saw from Caleb Williams during the regular season. Much more staying in the pocket, playing on time, on target, not trying to make everything like just happen like he was doing in college. Um, and so yeah, you start a lot like I was talking about earlier. Pass rushers are probably second or third most important position on the team nowadays because you need to get pressure on the quarterback. Um, and I just don't think that the Vikings will be able to do that. And this the Bears will win this game. I'll take the Bears. Um, Now I don't know how far above 500 they'll be this year, but I think they can get them a win. Uh, but man, you got anything else?
Um, there's a lot of people in the chat talking. It looks like they're trying to give shout outs to our guy Jarrell. So shout out Jarrell for holding it down in the back end for us.
Oh
And
yeah,
whoever
of
Michael is saying
course.
Caleb Williams is trash, man. We'll see on Monday. We'll see come Monday. All right, that's all I gotta say.
Mike, Mike said that the Falcons are gonna win it all, man. Mike, man,
Hey, he
but
might be more delusional than me. I don't know.
Mike, Mike just be talking sometimes. That's
Michael
crazy.
Penix
He, you
Jr.
know
didn't
those.
win it all. Okay.
He's a Bulldogs fan. You know those Bulldogs fans just. But
Once that
man,
coming down the
if you enjoyed that show, man, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe on YouTube, hey, and actually drop down in the comments who we should do for the game of the week next week. Give any predictions for the upcoming games, whether it's college or NFL. And we'll be back next week with some more high school football, high school and college, and we'll see what goes on in the NFL, man. But we'll be back next
Hey, I
week
got
with
two more
some more
things before we
coverage.
before we close out.
What's
Number
up?
one, Wake Forest versus Western Carolina Day. Let's go Catamounts. Pulling out the upset.
Okay,
I'm calling
they
it now.
might. Hey, you saw what Wake Forest did last week. They
They
might.
really might pull it out. Yeah. And then number two, Methodist, my alma mater, taking on Shenandoah today up in Winchester, Virginia. Hopefully, Methodist can get back on track as a program. We've been struggling the last 3 years. But one
Right.
last shout out. One last shout out. My dog Nate Hampton got named the FCS
Yo,
National Player of
yes.
the Week with 6 touchdowns on a road win against Western Carolina last week. A big time win for him. So shout out.
I did not. I didn't realize that Nate was. Where's he playing at now?
He's at Gardner Webb now.
Gardner Webb. Yeah, I didn't realize that he switched. That he made the transition to Gardner Webb. But bro, I think he's just doing what we saw him do in high school and what we were expecting him to do at Liberty. What is it?
Yeah.
Go 6 touchdowns. He played
That
very
boy had
well.
4 rushing touchdowns, dude. That's like
Yeah,
I've never seen you. I didn't think you could have that in you. 4 rushing touchdowns
really
as a
moved like
quarterback,
that.
but
Yeah,
here we go.
yeah, no, yeah, I agree, man. Well, like you said, big shout out to him, and hey, hopefully, this man Jarrell talking about, bro. I didn't expect anything else from North Carolina, bro. Like, I don't even want to waste time talking about it. Like, I just did not, just because you just don't see. I remember when Deion Sanders was going through this, and you can only get so much better in the portal because most of the guys in the portal are looking for playing time, or very few of them are leaving because they were starters where they came from. And so you're not getting high quality guys. What you're getting, like, I believe you use the portal to build your depth throughout your team, to fill in some of those missing pieces that you weren't really able to get through the recruiting cycle, high school recruiting. Um, but I'm just not one of those people that believe that you can build a team through the portal, because they just the quality of player that comes through the portal is just, they were probably a backup wherever they're coming from. They were a backup for a reason. But go ahead, Brandon.
Yeah, I mean, I personally didn't expect them to lose by 35. I think it
Now that
was.
no
That
no
was
no no yeah, that was embarrassing.
now. Granted, if they were to sustain whatever they put out offensively from that first drive throughout the entire game, or even just 2 to 3 quarters, I think it's a much different scoreboard. Hell, it might even be flipped in terms of 21 or 35 point win. But nah, man, it got ugly pretty quick, or you could tell that it was gonna start to the tide was gonna start to turn there
Yeah.
early. After that first drive, scored a touchdown, was great. Second drive stall, third drive stall, fourth drive stall, fifth drive pick six. It's like okay, here we go. This is the UNC that everybody was kind of worried about, and it kind of showed. So
You
I
start
don't
seeing
think
three
there'll
and
be.
outs.
Yeah, I too many of them. Too many. You got to sustain at least some type of drive to build momentum off of, and they just did not do that whatsoever. So I don't think it'll be. I think this is a very early sign for Bill of what he's got to do to turn that program around. And knowing him, he'll get it done. I don't think it'll be this year, maybe not next year, but I think in a few years they'll for sure be competitive and a lot better.
Yeah. I saw an interesting question proposed, and I'm not against it, especially after seeing what you saw from your team last week in week one, knowing that you're not playing for anything significant this year. Um, do you start playing Bryce Baker? Like, he can't eat. He left East, comes in as a four star quarterback,
Yep.
one of the best in this class. I believe he was top two in the state. Do you just go ahead and play him? Because I personally, I'm gonna say yes, because this year is going to go. This is a wasted year, like, essentially. Like, and I know a lot of people don't want to hear that, but this is a wasted year for Carolina, and I personally would like because you just don't want to have this learning experience and going back through this all over again next year when
Hmm.
you can start to instill some confidence into your your organization or like the school, your program for the future. I don't think continuing to play what's his name, Gio Lopez,
Yeah,
um, is the answer. And just let them get those bad mistakes out early. Just like going back to what we were talking about, just quarterback play around college football hasn't been the best because had a lot of young players that just weren't able to get the reps that they wanted and needed. So I'm interested in seeing what we. I think that they should, but I'm interested in seeing how Bill handles this.
yeah, for sure. Obviously I know Bryce personally. I trained him for a couple years, so but I will speak truthfully. It's going to be tough for them to start playing him this early. He's a true
Yeah,
freshman.
yeah,
He's he if he had a better camp and a better spring ball than the other guys that were there, sure, but
yeah,
I think with him being I think third or fourth on the depth chart right now is, um, obviously that he's there for a reason, and I think that's because he Bill Belichick wants him, and whoever the quarterback coach is over there now wants him to develop and learn from other guys that have done it at a high level already. With Gio Lopez doing it at South Alabama, who was able to transfer and end up being the starting quarterback for an ACC team this year. So obviously they have right now they have a lot more faith in number one and number two on the depth chart from the quarterback position than they do Bryce. Once again, a lot of love for Bryce, and I hope he does well in the future. But right now, from a program standpoint, it would be great to see Bryce play personally. But from a program standpoint, I think they're going to stick with Gio, or I believe the
yeah,
back like Max Johnson.
yeah, yeah. Okay, no, that's a good point though. That's a good point. But I just think after last week, you have shifted from a now to a future focus,
Mm.
um, and I think that's kind of how it should have been. Or, but that's kind of hard. Like it's hard to tell fans or even like you and I. Like we were to take over a football team, Brandon. We're going to try our best to put best product out there week one because that's like nobody wants to lose. No one wants to accept losing. No one just wants to do that. So I think that was definitely interesting. It's gonna be interesting to see what they do. Um, but I'm good, Brandon. If you're good, man.
I'm good.
Hey, bro. I appreciate everybody for joining us again this week, and hey, man, we'll be back again next week with some more football.